Kajan Crack, welcome back. It's Smish It Down, and we are here for another episode of our Beginners Ulster Irish playlist. And the last lot of episodes, we were looking at things like the verb to be in the past tense, the present tense, open question, direct question. And we're not going to go on and do the future tense because I don't know the future of this particular course that we're doing. Like I said, in the last one, we're just doing this as a trial. So I want to try and cover as much stuff as possible. And this is only meant to be supplemental to whatever learning you're already doing anyway. So, really good book. I don't want to mention the name here because I'm not sponsored by them. But I think if I mention them here, I have to mention that there's product placement. So I'm not going to do that. But it's very, very popular Irish step-by-step course, and it's made by a guy who's a teacher, was or might still be a teacher in Cultural and Derry. And if you were going through part one of that book, you'd be more or less, after going through my lessons, like what I've just brought you through, you'd be more or less at the point where what they do is they bring you through a list of things that you could want. But the question is actually, and will to a Gary, and will to a Gary. And that, remember that a will to is a direct question, are you, and egg eerie is something that you could be doing, and that is wanting. So, and will to a Gary, are you wanting? So, it's sort of like saying, do you want? Are you in need of? Do you want? But there's sort of another way of asking it in Irish, and it's more, would you like? And I think that's the more common way of saying it. So I'm gonna bring you through this question and some of the possible answers. Anyway, we're more going to utilize these answers when it comes to the next question. But I just wanted to show you in the same sort of question structure. So kje ata, because we're not going to say how, we're going to say what. So kje ata to a Gary. Kje ata to a Gary. What do you want? Or what do you? It is more like, what are you wanting? What are you wanting? So kje ata to a Gary. What are you wanting? And a couple of the answers to that could be cup and tea, cup of tea, cup and coffee, cup of coffee, glinya banya, glass of milk. Say that one. Glinya, banya. Say it. Fantastic. So just before we go through some more examples there, if I had said, and will to a Gary cup and tea, and will to a Gary cup and tea, would you be wanting a cup of tea? And will to a Gary cup and tea? How do you think you can answer me back? If you paid attention in the last lessons, you would know that will to a Gary, positive tense, and it is a direct question, so you can actually just answer back with a ta or a neil. Ta or a neil. And will to a Gary cup and tea? Ta. And will to a Gary cup and tea? Neil. The full answer would be Neil me a Gary cup and tea, or ta me a Gary cup and tea. So I would also say that if you are answering back with just a ta or a neil and somebody's asking you a question, don't forget your pleasantries. This might be a really good spot to start adding those in. So if I said, and will to a Gary cup and tea, and you want a one, you could say, ta, let a hole. Yes, please. And will to a Gary cup and tea? Neil, Gurmiagat. That's no thank you. So we are running hard to say, I would be one ta me a Gary. Say it. Tame Gary, very good. Tame Gary. And it's I am wanting, but you can use it as I want. Again, it's very strong language, you know. I would sort of treat that like when your kids, when the kid says, I want this, I want that. And if you wanted to say he wants, ta sé Gary. If you wanted to say Dan wanted, or Dan wants, ta Dan Gary. If you want to say Dan wanted, fi Dan Gary. Fi Dan Gary. So let's go down a list of a couple of examples then of things that you could want. And we're not going to put it in this sentence structure because we're going to use some of these examples then for the next question that I'm going to teach you. And the next question is in a different sort of sentence structure. So good that we get some of these down. And best thing for you to do is go through and remember the things that you do drink or eat and try and remember the names for those and just use those as an example. So cup and tea, cup of tea, cup and tea, cup and tea. I think in true Ulster Irish, cuppa, cup of tea, cup of tea. I heard that from one of my teachers, cup of tea. Sort of, which may be why we say a cuppa, cup and tea, cup and tea. Cup and coffee, cup and coffee, cup and coffee. Say cup and coffee. Fantastic. Glinja banya, glinja banya, glinja banya. There is nearly like a W in there, but if you say banya, banya, that's close enough. Glinja banya, glinja banya. And that is a glass of milk. Glinja banya. Next one I want you to repeat after me. I'm going to say it a few times. So, Glinja su arascha. Glinja su arascha. Glinja su arascha. Glinja su arascha. Say su arascha. Su arascha. Perfect. Glinja su arascha. And that's a glass of orange juice. Jock iske. Jock iske. Jock iske. Jock iske. That's a drink of water. Tame Gary Jock iske. I'd be wanting a drink of water. Then, so some food we've got here. Pizza tosta. Pizza tosta. A fiver to anybody that gets that right. That's a piece of toast. Briska. 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 Biscuit. Briska. Say briska. Briska. Biscuit. Capra. 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 That's a sandwich. Say capra. Fantastic. Capra. And remember, iske was water. So jock iske. What do you think iske baha is? Iske baha. If you've learned any Irish before, you'll know this one. But if you haven't, so it's obviously water or something. And that's actually the water of life. Iske baha. Iske baha. So say that one. Iske baha. Iske baha. You may be thinking, Dan, why do you tell me what the water of life is? And it's because it's actually whiskey. Iske baha. Iske baha is what whiskey is in Irish. Pinta. 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 Something you could get at a bar. Big cold pinta. Pinta. Say pinta. Pinta. Fantastic. Pint. Pinta. Touching. 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 Say it. Touching. Touching. That's a cigarette. And what do you need for your cigarette? A lassen. 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 Say lassen. Lassen. And that is a light. What do you need after the pub? If you've had a few too many drinks, you might need a sheeb. sheeb, 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 sheeb. Say sheeb, sheeb. It's like sheep, but with a b at the end instead of a p. Sheeb, sheeb. And that's a lift. Sheeb. Tommy Gary sheeb. I'd be wanting a lift. And I think that'll do us for now. So we're going to utilize some of those, and I might teach you a few more in our next lesson, where we're going to be looking at what would you like instead of what would you be wanting. What would you like? And that's the more common one to use when you're out and about, or you're in a shop or in a restaurant or something, because want is sort of demanding, as opposed to like is a bit more friendly. So that'll do us for now. Thank you. Gurmiogov. Slan slan.